All right, so we're diving into the world of the Megatherium today.
The giant ground sloth.
Yeah, it's one of those creatures that, well, it just captures the imagination, doesn't
Oh,
it?
absolutely.
We got a really fun YouTube video from a listener.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by James Whitehead. And he clearly shares our fascination with these uh, prehistoric giants.
And what's really interesting about the Megatherium is you've got this officially extinct creature, but there's still so much debate
Oh, yeah.
and
Should
speculation.
it still be out there?
Exactly.
All right, so let's set the stage here.
Okay.
Imagine South America, Pleistocene epoch,
All right.
and you see a creature as tall as a giraffe.
Wow.
That's about 20 feet tall
Okay.
and weighing as much as an elephant 4 tons.
That's massive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely massive.
So we're talking like a real lumbering beast here.
Oh, yeah.
The Megatherium was built like a tank, thick limbs, massive claws.
I was just going to ask about the claws.
Oh, they weren't just for show.
Okay.
Multi-purpose tools. Oh, yeah. Digging, defense, probably even stripping vegetation for food.
Interesting. Now, James mentions in the video that they were mainly herbivores, eating leaves and fruit,
Right.
but he throws out this really interesting theory.
Right.
Maybe they scavenge sometimes, too.
You know, it's possible.
Yeah.
Their anatomy definitely points to a plant-based diet, but a
Right.
creature that big
Yeah.
could easily intimidate other predators.
Steal a meal or two.
Exactly.
Now, when we think about sloths today, we picture those cute, slow-moving creatures in the trees.
Right.
But were there ancient relatives, anything like that?
Not quite.
Okay.
I mean, the modern sloth is a distant relative,
Okay.
but the Megatherium, oh, totally different.
Right.
The size difference, for one, is huge.
Right.
But even more important is their lifestyle.
Okay.
Today's sloths, they live in trees, they're arboreal,
Uh-huh.
but the Megatherium was firmly on the ground.
Really?
Its size and bone structure just wouldn't have worked in the
I
trees.
could see that. Which probably explains why they were so slow.
Imagine trying to move around with 4 tons of weight on you.
Oh, I'd be moving pretty slow, too.
Haha, exactly. But you know, that slowness probably played a part in their eventual extinction.
Oh,
It
interesting.
makes them vulnerable to faster predators and environmental changes.
Okay, so we've got this giant ground sloth,
Officially extinct.
officially extinct, but James is really into this idea that, well, that maybe it isn't.
Yeah.
Is that just wishful thinking, or is there anything like scientifically to support that?
Well, the Amazon rainforest is vast
Oh, yeah.
and largely unexplored.
It's true.
So it's not entirely impossible that some small, isolated populations of Megatherium
Uh-huh.
could have survived
Okay.
in those hidden depths.
And for centuries, the indigenous cultures have passed down stories of
Yeah.
this creature called the mapinguari.
A large sloth-like creature that roams the Amazon.
And that's the thing that really got me in the video.
Oh, yeah.
The descriptions of the mapinguari.
Oh, right.
Furry, one-eyed, long claws.
Yeah.
And get this, backward-facing feet.
That is interesting.
I mean, could this just be a coincidence? Or could those ancient encounters have actually inspired these stories?
It's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
And while the Mapinguari is generally considered, mythical,
Sure.
the similarities to the Megatherium are really hard to ignore.
Right.
So could this be folklore, preserving a memory of creatures that we thought were long gone?
It's like those stories your grandparents tell.
Yeah.
You're never quite sure what's real and what's been, well, embellished.
Researched over time, yeah.
But there's always a little kernel of truth in there,
Yeah.
So how do scientists even approach these kinds of mysteries? Where you have folklore and the possibility of rediscovering something supposedly extinct.
Well, that's where the line between speculation and scientific evidence is really important.
Okay.
Legends and stories.
Yeah.
They're intriguing, but they don't hold the same weight as concrete proof.
So what kind of proof would convince the scientific community that the Megatherium is still alive? Would a blurry photo of a giant sloth in the jungle do it?
Whoa.
Probably not. I mean, a photo would be cool.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, what would scientists really need to see to be convinced? Like to say, yep, the Megatherium's still out there.
It would definitely take more than just a photo.
Right.
You'd need something more solid.
Like tangible evidence.
Exactly, like fossilized remains from, from recent times.
I see.
Something that shows that these creatures were around a lot later than we originally thought.
So like finding a fresh Megatherium skeleton, That would be pretty hard to dismiss.
Oh, absolutely. That would be huge.
Yeah.
But even better, even more compelling would be DNA evidence.
Oh, okay.
If you could get a hair sample, skin, bone, anything like that.
From a living Megatherium.
Yeah. Then we could analyze the DNA, compare it to, the DNA of existing sloths.
And that would basically give you a definitive answer.
Right.
So it's not just about, like, finding a giant sloth.
Right.
It's about proving it.
Yeah.
With evidence that scientists can't ignore.
Exactly.
But you mentioned earlier that the Amazon is so vast and unexplored.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make finding this kind of evidence really difficult?
Oh, absolutely. The Amazon is a very challenging environment.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the dense foliage, the weather, the sheer size of the place.
Yeah.
It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Right.
But the haystack is alive and trying to,
Eat you.
Yeah, pretty much.
And James Whitehead actually talks about that in his video.
Does he?
Yeah, he describes it as like a world unto itself, almost like stepping back in time.
I can imagine.
So if it's that hard to explore,
Yeah.
how do scientists even start looking for something like the Megatherium?
Well, it's a multifaceted approach, for sure.
Okay.
Sometimes it starts with looking at existing data,
Right.
like indigenous knowledge, historical accounts, even those blurry photos and videos we talked about. Even though those can be unreliable,
Yeah.
it's really about piecing together a puzzle,
Okay.
looking for patterns, anomalies, things that might point us in the right direction.
So it's kind of like detective work,
Yeah.
but on a huge scale.
That's a great way to put it.
Now, what about the Mapinguari legend?
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier.
Right.
And it has those similarities to the Megatherium.
Yeah.
Could those stories, even if they're considered myths, could they help in the scientific search?
They really can.
Really?
Folklore often reflects, a deep connection between people and nature.
Yeah.
And those stories, they get passed down for generations.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can contain a grain of truth.
Oh,
Think about it. Before we had scientific methods, people relied on stories,
Right.
oral traditions, to pass down knowledge.
So even though we wouldn't, use a myth to write a scientific paper,
Right.
it could still point us in the right direction.
Exactly. They can provide valuable clues, inspire further investigation.
It's a reminder that science and storytelling aren't always so separate.
Yeah, the lines can blur.
Let's be realistic, though. Even if the Megatherium somehow survived, it would be incredibly rare, right?
It would be extremely rare.
I mean, we're not talking about Bigfoot sightings here. This is a creature the size of a car.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The odds are definitely stacked against us.
Yeah.
But remember the coelacanth?
Oh, yeah. The prehistoric fish
That's the one.
that was supposed to be extinct for millions of years.
Right.
And then, bam, rediscovered in 1938.
Exactly.
James mentions that in the video, too.
It's an incredible story.
It really makes you think.
He does.
Like, if something like the coelacanth could survive undetected for that long,
Yeah.
maybe, just maybe, the Megatherium did too.
It's a tantalizing thought.
It is.
And it reminds us that we still have so much to learn about our planet.
Even in the 21st century,
Even with all our technology,
Yeah.
there are still vast areas that are completely unexplored.
mysteries out there waiting to be uncovered.
Exactly.
So you're saying there's still hope
There's always hope.
that maybe somewhere out there, a family of Megatheriums is just munching on leaves,
Uh-huh. Maybe.
completely oblivious to the fact that they're supposed to be extinct.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, fair enough.
But I will say this.
What's that?
Never underestimate the power of nature to surprise us.
That's a great point.
It really is.
And it's like you said earlier, sometimes the mystery itself is part of the allure.
Oh, for sure.
It keeps us curious.
It pushes us to explore.
And it reminds us that there's still a sense of wonder to be found in the world.
Absolutely.
But let's play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay.
Let's say we do find, undeniable proof of a living Megatherium.
Right.
Then what? It's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about this possibility.
Yeah.
What if we actually did find one?
A real living Megatherium.
Yeah. What would that even mean? Not just for science, but for, how we see the world.
It would be, monumental.
Yeah.
Just imagine. The headlines, the scientific papers,
Everyone would go crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think beyond that initial, shock,
Mm-hmm.
it would force us to rethink some pretty fundamental things about our planet.
Like what? James, in his video, focuses on the excitement of the discovery.
Right.
But it seems like you're hinting at something a little bit deeper.
Yeah, finding a living Megatherium wouldn't just be about adding a new species to the books.
Okay.
It would challenge how we think about extinction itself.
Really?
If this creature could survive for thousands of years completely undetected,
Yeah.
what else might be out there?
Wow.
What other creatures have we just, written off as gone?
It's like realizing the history book you've been reading is missing a whole chapter.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly.
And not just any chapter, but like the chapter that changes the whole story.
It would be a real wake-up call.
Yeah.
It would remind us that nature is full of surprises.
Right.
And that what we know, as much as we think we know, it's still pretty limited.
But wouldn't it also be like a sign of hope?
Oh, absolutely.
If something as big as the Megatherium could survive for so long,
Yeah.
maybe our planet is tougher than we give it credit for.
It would be a testament to, the power of nature to adapt and survive, even when it seems impossible.
And I bet it would change how we approach things like conservation.
Oh, for sure.
Suddenly the idea of, reintroducing extinct species, it wouldn't seem so crazy.
Yeah. Rewilding.
Yeah.
It's a real possibility.
Exactly.
Finding a Megatherium would be a huge argument for protecting those wild places.
Yeah.
Because who knows what else is out there?
It makes you wonder what other secrets are hidden, And those parts of the planet we haven't explored yet.
It's exciting to think about.
It is. Maybe those myths and legends, the ones we dismiss as just stories,
Yeah.
maybe there's some truth to them.
Maybe there's a reason they've stuck around for so long.
It's all about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Between the science
The evidence.
and, well, that sense of wonder.
That childlike curiosity.
Exactly. Because sometimes the most amazing discoveries,
Yeah.
they happen when we question what we think we know.
When we're open to the unknown.
This has been a journey, I gotta say.
It has.
Not just about the Megatherium, but about discovery itself
Curiosity.
and our place in the world.
In the universe.
Yeah. Who knows, maybe one day, with a little bit of luck,
And some scientific ingenuity.
we'll finally have proof that the giant ground sloth is still out there.
It would be incredible.
It would. But until then,
We'll keep exploring.
we'll keep that sense of wonder alive.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll see you on the next one.